Hey guys, I'm Jay, and today's knife is a SOG. And to be honest, that is a brand I do not have many reviews for. I think if you go back, you look on my channel, I probably have 2 other SOG knife reviews. But this one may just change all that. Now, all of the specs that you are currently looking at are measurements that I had personally taken myself. So for those of you interested, good spot to pause and read. This is the SOG Terminus XR, and we'll get into what I like about this, and then we'll talk about some of the potential deal breakers. First, let's take care of those size comparisons. Let's start this off with a Kaiser and the Gemini. How about a couple Spydercos? And this one is the Sage 5. And the Para 3. Zero Tolerance, the ZT 0450. And this one is the Recon 1, the mini Recon 1 from Cold Steel. Here's a couple Benchmades, and this one being the Grizzly Creek. And then we'll go ahead and close out this section with the bug out. Starting out with the blade, and you're looking at it's a 3-inch drop point, and I know now some of you might consider this to be a clip point, and I can definitely see the argument for that because it does have just a very subtle clip. SOG decided to use CTS BDZ1 as the blade steel, which for those of you that don't know can be classified anywhere between like Sandvik for 14C 28N or 440C between VG10. Now the grind here, it is in fact flat with a really nice brushed satin finish. 2.7 millimeters is that the blade stock thickness, and the width, so from the spine to sharpened edge, it's just under an inch at 0.97. And check out that sharpening child. That is how you do it. Very well executed. The Terminus XR features 3 different deployment methods. Yes, I said 3. The first being the flipper tab, and then of course you've got the thumb studs, and you can always just kind of actuate that lock. Now for me, using the flipper, I find that the push button method works best here. On the inside there is it's a ball bearing pivot, and I mean, check that out. God, do I love that. Now, of course, there's no detent like you would find on like, liner locks and frame locks. But I got to tell you, the blade retention within the handle is absolutely excellent. I mean, I am unable to shake this loose, unlike some Benchmades, for example, like the Grizzly Creek here. If you see, yeah, able to shake that open pretty easy. The action here is very, very good. I mean, it's not great, but we will get to that very soon. Now, once once you release the lock, you can see it will just go ahead and drop shut. Boop. Yep, just like those Benchmades. Speaking of Benchmade, I mean, this knife features what SOG has named the XR lock, and it really functions the same way as the Benchmade's axis lock. I had to bring you in close to see this. Check out that centering. Look at that. That is darn near perfect. Now there's 2 areas of jimping on the Terminus XR. So one on the flipper tab and then on the spine of the blade. And I also want to add that very, very aggressive jimping. Now moving on down to the handle. Now with my medium-sized hand, I can fit all 4 of my fingers on this 4-inch long handle, which is made from, it's going to be a G10 with the carbon fiber laminate like you'll see in some Spyderco knives. Now, just super comfortable grip with, there's no sharp edges anywhere, well, on the handle at least. Now, I think that one of the coolest features of the Terminus XR is regarding the traction of the scales. So at first, it kind of, if you just rub your fingers on it, it feels like there isn't much as far as traction goes. But as soon as you start to apply a little bit of pressure, then the more that you can feel that traction. I absolutely love that. Disassembly isn't going to be too bad for this. I mean, considering it's just going to be it looks like, 2 body and then the clip screw and of course the pivot. Now, I actually do have a disassembly video for the Terminus XR. So if at the end of the video you look up to the corner, go ahead, you can click on that icon and watch that full disassembly. Now in the pocket, the deep carry clip, it's going to be it's tip up only, but it is for righties. And yes, sir, you can in fact swap that over for lefties. And I really like that clip. It occupies much less than 50% of the handle. Closed, this is going to just take up about 1.13 inches in the pocket, so at the widest point across, and of course the widest section of this knife is going to be at the bottom of your pocket, where in fact it should be. Now the handle is a very, very impressive 0.47 inches thick. Before I go ahead and toss this up on the scale, I just wanted to show you that it is, in fact, partially closed construction with just that, the back spacer. And if you take a look on the inside, hopefully you can see that, yes, right about there. There it is. Both of the liners are skeletonized in an effort to, keep the weight down. Let's see how they did. Nice 3.3 ounces. Which is going to be roughly the equivalent 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 AA batteries, or look at that, almost the same weight as the Spyderco Para 3. Before we get to those potential deal breakers, there's a question that I would just I'd be interested to see what your answer is. Now, for those of you that like and purchase SOG knives, what was the last SOG knife that you purchased? Mine was not even a folder. Yep, my last SOG purchase was a fixed blade, and this is the Hunts Point in S30V. Let me know yours down in the comment section below. Hey, really quick, do me a favor, go ahead, click on that subscribe button if you're looking for knife reviews to get right to the point. And if you enjoyed this video and you got any value from it, how about one of these? Thanks, guys. Potential deal breaker number 1 is going to be regarding the flipper tab. Yeah, because it is pretty darn sharp. And now I want to go ahead and do just a quick experiment. So I'm going to take my Bestech Lion with the flipper tab, and I'm just going to go ahead and rub it on the sides of this piece of scrap wood. Yeah, no resistance, it's not digging. Now, with the same piece of wood, we're going to take the SOG Can you guys see that? Yeah. I can actually, yep, look at that. I can actually scrape the wood with the flipper tab. That is just how darn sharp it is. And now if you couple that with the very aggressive jimping, sometimes when I'm withdrawing this from my pocket, it will get snagged on my pants pocket material. Potential deal breaker number 2 is going to be regarding the thumb stud deployment. It's a little awkward. Now I'm going to try and explain this the best I can, but the movement of deploying the blade with the thumb studs, it's different than with my other thumb stud knives. So you kind of have to go out and then up to deploy the blade. Now, yeah, I mean, it's not all that difficult. I mean, once you do it once or twice, then you'll have built up that muscle memory, but it just does not open like all of my other thumb stud knives do. And the next potential deal breaker, this one, to be honest, is probably more of a nitpick than anything else. And it's regarding the XR lock studs. Now, you cannot have your fingers on these lock studs during deployment when you're using the flipper, because the finger studs, they need to move freely. See if you can see that. Yeah, when opening the blade. And again, that is just another similarity that it shares with Benchmades, because as you know, I mean, yeah, you can see that Benchmades are the same way. And the last potential deal breaker is gonna be the price. I picked this up for $70. Now, while $70 isn't awful, I would feel a heck of a lot better about this knife at around $50. I mean, especially now when you've got, you know, these budget brands like Best Tech, and they're able to give you D2 steel for around that same price. So yeah, $50, absolutely. I would have no problem recommending this. So where does that leave us with this knife? Well, the SOG Terminus XR, it's good. It's really good, but it's not great. Now, if you go ahead and compare this to only other SOG knives, then it's quite an achievement. I mean, I really, really like the multiple deployment options. I love that blade shape. It's a great EDC size, ball bearing pivot, and their choice of steel going with the CTS BD-Z1. But all that being said, SOG has a lot of catching up to do in order to remain competitive. I will say this, the Terminus XR, huge step in the right direction.